Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream today. Ron Nicoletti along with Ashley Mayu. It is 11:21 in the morning, so we'll call this breakfast at Gulfstream Park. We got a fast main track, and we're on the turf today, and the turf course listed as good, of course, all summer long. Always dodging some raindrops, but looking nice and green the turf course looks.
Yeah, when I looked at the weather a couple days ago, this is obviously South Florida. It said it was going to rain today. I think we might get by through the card without any rain, but 12 races. We have a feature race later today, the Mr. Steel, so plenty of action, and honestly, not too many scratches today.
Not too many scratches and a pretty nice card. And we got, as you mentioned, that stake race a little later on. Get some nice horses in there. But we do have a first race today that's going to be on the turf, about 7.5 furlongs. These are maiden special weight filly 2-year-olds. We scratch all the alsos 9 down to 13. And Ashley has an early pick 5 ticket. So let's get right to it.
Yeah, I switched it up today. $48, a big spender, not my 36. In the first race, I just go too deep in here. I used the Mark Casse runner, the number 2, known by heart. Mark Casse had a great day here yesterday, winning 2 races, as well as the number 6, Royal Rocker, his other runner. So I went with both Casses in the first. Race 2, I spread. I honestly didn't have a strong opinion with these $6,250 claimers. I think these are wide open. So I used the number 2, Adib, the 3, Mustang Cat, the 4, Green Mansions, as well as the number 7, Ricky Ticky Taffy, who I think might be your top pick in that spot. Race 3, I just used 2 horses in here in between the 2, Grand Runner and Emperor's Cause. I know Grand Runner's kind of had a lot of hype behind him. He still hasn't broke his maiden since he was second to Bears Watching several starts ago. Race 4, just 2 runners in here. The number 1, Personal Meadow, is going to face winners for the first time, but I really like her in this spot, as well as the number 5, Loyal Louie. And then to wrap things up, I go 3 deep in the final race. I like the number 1, Thorn. I also use the number 5, American Phenom, and then as well as the number 9, Kicks on 66. So 48, went a little heavier after yesterday's card.
$48, and I believe you had the late pick 4 yesterday? So
yes.
There you go. So she's got some coin in her pocket, so she's stepping up here in the first race. Talking about Mark Casse, boy, what a great 2-year-old season he's having here. We're going to start it off with the horse we have on top, Royal Rocker. You would think we'd be primed and ready to score. As a matter of fact, let's go back and show you this horse's debut. We're going to pick it up from the 316 pole home when Royal Rocker, I just think, finishes a promising second in here. And you would just think off this performance, Ashley, that this horse would take a step forward.
Yeah, he wasn't actually the typical odds we see on a Mark Casse horse. 5-1 in that spot, but he had the lead late, and he just surrendered to Fulton Street, who was a little bit of an upset in there at 10-1. But you see the favorite was the number 5, Into Touring, who ended up finishing 3rd in there. It was a respectable debut. You just see that performance, and you look at the other horses that have that race day experience. This probably looks like the one to beat.
Yeah, Mark Casse now updated. I just checked this morning. He's now 6 for 14, 43% with his freshman runners thus far. Miguel Vasquez will ride that one. And I was looking at the, the facts and figures with all the 2-year-olds. He's the only trainer with more than 2-year-old winners at the meet. So when you see him up there, and what did we do? We put the other Casse horse in second.
Yeah, he's got some good workouts. I like the most recent one over the main track at Palm Meadows, 48-3, breezing from the gate. But you see those turf works, and then you see the pedigree. Screams turf, and was a pretty expensive purchase back in September of 2020.
Yeah, you read about a daughter of the late, great Galileo, just passed last week, and 92 Grade 1 winners that horse sired. So bred up and down for the Grass Embassy. El Jaramillo rides. And then the inside horse, Solar Girl, is the daughter of Greenpoint Crusader, debuting for Saffie Joseph Jr. He's solid with his turf sprinters. I think you watch the tote to see how the money comes in. Right now, early in the wager, not taking any money, but we are way before we're going to really get serious with what's on the board. We
talked about Saffie and when he teams up with Edgar Zayas. I know we both liked a horse yesterday. His numbers are always good, maybe not the strongest with firsters, but if someone's going to beat you, it might be Saffie in this spot.
Let's go to race number 2 this afternoon. We're on the main track, 6 furlongs. Claim is 3 and up, $6,250. And you're absolutely right about this race. You know, you would think the rejuvenated Ricky Ticky Taffy would be a major player in here. I just couldn't get a handle on this race where I'd say, oh, this horse might be able to beat this horse that's good form. He's a son of Field Commission. Now he's going to face open claimers. He cruised through his 2 and 3 lifetime conditions, and he did it in winning fashion for Antonio Sano. Jesus Rios going for the 3-peat this afternoon, so just went with the horse that's in good form.
He's in great form, and you look at his 2 races when he picked up his 2nd and 3rd lifetime win. They were off a long layoff of about 6 months, and then you look at the way he's won both of them. His numbers have been about the same. The distances were comparable, but I liked last time out that he rated. He didn't have to make the lead in there. And you see, I used him in the 3rd spot, but you saw the coverage I put in that early pick 5 just because I think he is a major contender.
Well, Mustang Cat, who you do have on top, is dropping to this level and cutting back to 6 furlongs. He came up empty last time out. when being eased in a 16-starter optional claimer going a mile for Peter Walder. I know Peter had interest in his horse last time. He was a little shocked that the horse ran as bad as it did last time out, but Peter's solid with the Route 2 sprint angle.
Yeah, obviously the last race is a bit of a head-scratcher, some major class relief in this spot, though. The one thing that I will say, I used him on top just because I see that race 2 back. It was a pretty big performance. Second was Trapezoid, came back to face winners for the next time out. That's going a mile, though. He's done well at a mile. He's done at 7/8, but kind of looking at the 6 furlong distance, it's maybe not his strong suit, but the connections are going to try some different things here on the drop and then the distance as well.
Well, number 4, Green Mansions, is another cutting back to 3/4 after returning from the layoff, finishing that screw-tightening third against this level. But you look at this gelding, he's 3 for 4 in the money at 6 furlongs. I can understand you put him in second.
Yeah, he's just been consistent at the distance, and you look at his record here, he kind of reminds me of some of the horses we talked about yesterday. He's just 1 for 20 in terms of wins here on the main track, and he's been winless for quite a while. You got to go back to, I believe, 2019 to find his last win, but I liked his race off the layoff last time out, so I just thought maybe second off the layoff there can be improvement. Excuse me.
Let's go to race number 3. It's a 1-mile maiden special weight for 3-year-olds and up. We both have the 2 Grand Runner and the 3 Emperor's Course on a ticket, so let's go back and look at their last race. We're going to show from the 8th pole home when Grand Runner and Emperor's Course, they sort of got into it with each other in this race through the stretch run. You're going to see them bumping in here just a little bit. It'll be coming up in a second. They just were like, bopping each other a little bit. The most amazing thing is they're just laying on each other. They come to the wire, and the 5-horse wins the race, but the 3 of them are separated by 3 noses in that race. So pick your choice. That was some finish there. So, I went with Grand Runner looking for clear sailing. Not only that, I wanted to show you the brushing and the stretch, but he also broke out with at the start. So I give him this much over, over Emperor's Cause, and this one trained by Victor Barboza and Edgar Zayas in the saddle.
You also have to wonder if them kind of, brushing the stretch cost them, either of them, the win, just when you see a finish like that. It was over a good track. You saw some moisture in the track as well. And I think the other thing to notice when you look at the 2, I think Grand Runner gets maybe a slight nod, and I agree with you just because he's also been consistent. I know you look at his record, he's 7 for 8 in the money. He's always kind of been there every step of the way, but Emperor's Cause, it seems like it's taken a while. He started really well in his career, then he cooled off for a bit, and then last time out he had that big performance where he finished 3rd by a head. But I just think everything that Grand Runner's been doing, he's probably the one on paper. Yeah,
and the Emperor Course, you see, they both ran last time out. Let's go to race number 4 this afternoon. And this one's 6 furlongs. These are claimers 3 and up, non-winners of 2 in life, 6,250. As Ashley alluded to, not many scratches on the card. So clean slate here. We both went with Loyal Louis, who I believe is sitting on go after pressing the pace and finishing second. Behind who? Ricky Ticky Taffy. So we're giving you some homework here. You got to watch that second race before you bet on Loyal
I feel like you're a little biased there. You like Ricky Ticky Taffy, so you have to love Loyal Louis in this spot. He actually broke his maiden 2 starts back for $16,000 against maiden claimers on the turf. And to me, he can run on either surface. I mean, you look at his turf races, he's actually been campaigned more over the grass, and that's where he got his 1 career win. But last time out, they put him back on the dirt, which I remember digging into Formulator. Maybe not the strongest stat when I put some different filters on for Peter Walder, but he knew what he was doing. A really nice second to Ricky Ticky Taffy, who came back to win next time out as well.
Yeah, and Chantal Sutherland in the saddle. Peter and Chantal have been doing good together. You empty the inside horse, and I can understand this. A personal meadow who's stepping up to face winners after using his speed. He defeated those 12-5 maidens. Always tough to step up to the next condition, but has that speed, and you got a great rider in MCL Jaramillo.
I debated putting him on top for a little bit, but you said it best. I mean, he is facing winners for the first time. His best asset is going to be his early foot, and he has that inside draw. And last time he put it together, it was a pretty big win. He drew clear by 3 lengths, but in the past, the concern has been going 6 furlongs or 7 furlongs longer than that 5.5 distance. He kind of lacks a finish in there, and he usually just hangs on for a minor share.
Visions of Thanos, who you have a little further down, are stretching out to 3/4. Returned locally and returning locally. Finished that trouble starting second against those 12-5 2 lifetime claimers up at Delaware. I don't know how that translates here, but if you look at this gelding, faced much tougher in his only previous race here in South Florida.
He did. I don't know what to make out of him. I actually think he's kind of a sneaky horse in here just because his last 2 races, they've both been good, but they've been at Tampa and Delaware. They actually shipped up, you can see, to Delaware, and now they're coming down here. It's a little confusing for me, but if anything can happen like his last race, I think he at least deserves a look.
Yeah, and you used Soul Dancer in the 3rd spot of horse. I sort of backed off a little bit, and I figured this was, I think, his second choice in the morning line.
Second choice on the morning line, broke the maiden 2 starts back over the turf sprinting, so very similar to Loyal Louis. But the big thing that maybe gave me some confidence in here is when I looked at the trainer stats for Gilberto Zerpa, turf to dirt, 44% from a sample size of 9, really strong, and second off the layoff, 20%. So I know the barn has big numbers, but those really stood out to me. So I think he has a reason or suspects that this horse should be able to handle the dirt. Now, the only dirt start was the debut, and what do you take away? It was Maiden Special Weight Company, so a lot tougher.
Yeah, a much easier spot for that. Let's flip the page, go to race number 5. About 7.5 on the good turf today. Claimers 3-year-olds, 4 and up. Non-winners of 2 in life, 20 down to 16, scratch to 4, and the main track only number 10. And I and you did go with number 1 American Phenom, who's dropping into this 20 condition claimer in the first start since finishing 4th. That was against those 50 starter allowance runners here during February. I'm not totally sold on this horse. I really had a tough time figuring out this race. I'm going to put this one on top mainly for the connections. Rohan Crichton, Barnes been going good. Jose Morelos handling the return to action. So some guesswork going on there.
A lot of guesswork. He was a $340,000 purchase several years ago at the Keeneland September sale, but Todd Pletcher originally had him, debuted him for $50,000, and that's how he's ended up in the barn for his current connections. His last couple races, they've been good, but the big thing to notice is he's had breaks between most of his races. Now, I will say, when he broke his maiden, it was second time off the layoff. He's going to be making his second start. This is not going to be the second start of the year, but off a layoff as well. So I'm not sure what to make out of him. He is taking a significant drop in class, so maybe the class carries him enough in here.
And you went to the inside horse, who I have a little further down with Thorn, and this one ridden by J.C. Diaz Jr. on the inside for Bobby DeBona.
I think last time out he kind of disappointed. It was about 3-1. He faced some nice horses. I really am a big fan of Tellington, finished second in that race. And Thorne really didn't have much to say. He beat one horse in there. But I think when you look at the efforts 2 or 3 back, he kind of sits a good trip in there. He usually just sits off the pace. I really liked the effort 3 back when he was against $35,000 claimer. So I just think maybe something went awry last time out. And I think he's good enough to get a piece in here.
I think the logical horse in here, the horse you have in third, and I have a second illogical horse in here, I'll say Kicks on 66, who goes to the Joe Orsino barn after the claim. Stets up, finished second, was the favorite that day behind that repeat winner called Mr. Tito's. That was that 2 lifetime claimer going a mile. Sammy Camacho is going to ride this afternoon. I'm glad that you put the 8 somewhere on your ticket. I looked at this horse, 15-1 on the line. He's free-falling to this level. He finished that sightseeing 6th against the state-bred allowance runners. I don't see him being that overmatched in here if you can get a price on him.
I don't think so either. And look at who he faced last time out, especially the top 2 in there. The winner was Fulmini, who's done really great things here at Gulfstream Park. You look at some of his races, he's been against tough competition, but he's also had some really great turf races here. So for me, I thought at a price, he was a horse at least considering maybe for the bottom of the try like you or the Superfecta.
Yeah, I just thought he would have a major shot in there. So we'll see how that race plays out. That is race number 5. We're going back to the dirt for race number 6, and this one is the 6 Furlong. These are maiden claiming 2-year-olds, $50,000, and the number 4 horse in here, the Skipper 2, is dropping to the 50 level today and cutting back to 3/4. He rallied to finish second last time. I didn't have him, but he was 31-1 in that race, and it was a pretty good race. It was moved from the turf to 7 furlongs on the main track. But when you look through the past performances, it looks like a major player in this spot.
He does on debut. He didn't show too much in there. I know the other Arundel horse, I believe, was Merlin in that spot, finished second. You mentioned last time out, stepped up. Maiden Special Weight was the level. Now he's going to drop in for the $50,000 tag. So I want to show a trainer stat here specifically for Juan Alvarado, who trains a lot of Arundel horses. And just look at how he does moving horses from the Maiden Special Weight to maiden claiming the last 3 years. 6 for 26, 23% in terms of wins, 38% in the money with $1.61 ROI. Some strong numbers. You see Edgar Zayas is going to climb aboard. And they don't team up too often. They win at about 10%. But for me, it's really the drop in what this horse showed last time out.
Well, I got a couple of first-time starters underneath, and one of them is the number 8, Hay Porter, who's the son of Upstart, debuting for Jorge Delgado, who's really good with his 27% with his 2-year-old runners. So I'm just playing the percentages there with Chantal in the saddle. And we both have the 6 Swift Wish on the tip. It's a gelded son of Mishawish, debut for Tim Hamm. Solid works. I didn't know what to do. Used a 3-horse in second, probably a logical horse in there, Frosted Armor.
Yeah, I was torn. I mean, I just think Antonio Sano's been doing pretty well lately, and he's been on a roll, and this one was a $30,000 purchase at OBS. I know the numbers maybe with debuting at the maiden claiming level or first-time starters aren't that great, but I think some of the 4 furlong drills at Palm Meadows were pretty sharp. You mentioned Swift Wish. We talk about Tim Hamm here. Horse has a bullet on the 12th of July. I thought it was a good workout, and I like that Tim Hamm, we always talk about this every time he has a runner. He always puts in some 5 furlong works with a mix of 4 just to kind of get those stamina-enhancing drills, and he does well, so it works out for his horses. So, I was torn between them, but I use them both underneath.
Romero Mirage will be in the saddle. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, it'll be Rainbow 6 time. Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Ron and Ashley, and Rainbow 6 is going to start race number 7 with a $450,000 jackpot guarantee. Got some brief shower. I think it'll be over in just a couple of seconds. If you hear that noise behind us, looks like it's already stopping. And as I mentioned, the feature race is where the Rainbow 6 starts. So let's quickly go through my ticket because we have lots to talk about in this race. And I did go 3 deep in here. I actually like Caribou Club a lot, but I use Val Me Now and Renaissance Frolic, one of 3 in the race for Sappy Joseph Jr. I think the race goes through Octane in race number 8. Got some coverage in race 9, but I think Halcyon Digest might be the one to beat. And then race number 11 and 12, I went 3 deep in there. Race number 11, I like Breakthrough in there. Comes off a nice victory in there. So for me, $43.20. So I just think this race goes through the number 6 Caribou Club. But you got Sappy Joseph Jr. in here. Matter of fact, we're going to go back and show you a race that between not Eddie Plisa and Renaissance Frolic, Val Me Now and Renaissance Frolic. We're going to pick it up from the 316th home. You're going to see Val Me Now, just running very well. And Val Me Now is the 7, Renaissance Frolic, the number 2. And there you see Val Me Now. Now, Chuck Willis, we like this horse, and he knows how. He was on the lead from the minute the gate opened, and I just thought that Val Me Now, and here comes Renaissance Frolic, who was coming off a layoff, closing stoutly. Of course, today's distance, a mile in the 16th, and it's a $75,000 race to Mr. Steele. So you would think that Renaissance Frolic is going to move forward with that extra 16th of a mile.
Definitely, because you can see he was really hitting his best stride late. He has a very long stride when he was called upon. It was a good performance from him. You talked about the winner, Chuck Willis. I actually think he's in this weekend up in a graded stake up at Woodbine, so we'll have to maybe get some wagers in on there. But, it's a classy horse, who I believe has won his last 4. So they definitely had competition that race. It might have not been a big stakes race or anything like that, but it was a nice horse that they faced, and they both really finished well.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Chuck Willis, as soon as we saw that horse run a couple of times, he said, boy, that horse is going to be in a stake. And he is today in Woodbine, so we'll check that over this weekend. But I did go, with the 6 Caribou Club, who's a multiple graded stakes winner, who's banked over $742,000, stretches out the 8.5 furlongs. He had that overnight handicap score going 5 paddles. Then he runs back. He's the favorite, and he doesn't fire in the $100,000 Bob Humphrey on July 4th. So Tom Proctor, he's good with horses going from a sprint to a route. And this horse, what I liked about it, 2 for 4 at the distance, so we know he can handle a mile in the 16.
And you look at his wins in his career. He's been able to go 2 turns. He's been able to sprint. He's really versatile. He's about as classy as they come when you're a 10-time winner from 27. And you've already hit up on it, but I do want to show a trainer stat here for Tom Proctor. You've mentioned he's really good with getting horses from sprint to route. I just looked specifically on the turf, though, the past 3 years. 9 for 41, 22%, 37% in the money, with a good ROI of $3.56. I mean, I don't necessarily think this one's going to be a price in here. He's just so classy, but I do like him stretching out today, especially that third start off that long layoff.
Yeah, I'm liking that stat, but you did go with the number 3 horse that we mentioned, Renaissance Frolic, 1 of 3 for Safi. Stretches out to the mile and 16th. You saw that performance last time out.
He's second in the Appleton back in March behind a really nice horse, Gray's Fable. I think they sent also back to Canada, Roger Outfield trainee. And you look at him, to me, his best races have been, 4 out of his last 5. Now, you mentioned he's going to make his second start off the layoff. So we both have that same sort of angle, making a second or third start off the layoff. And I just really liked the way that he closed last time out. And it'll be interesting to see how the race shapes up from a pace scenario. He's going to be hoping that there's some pace to run out.
And you saw Valmy now run a really nice second and then overnight handicap for Eddie Plesa Jr. with Sammy Camacho in the saddle. So pretty nice race. And that feature race is pretty nice. There's about 4 different ways you can go in there, and going to be interesting because it kicks off the Rainbow Six. Race number 8, 5 furlongs, maiden special weight, state bred 2-year-olds. And this kicks off our final pick 5 of the day. And Octane is sitting, I believe, on a winning performance after vying for lead and finishing second in his career debut at this level and distance. And it's Carlos David.
It's Carlos David. It's my final formulator fact for the day. But you look at his performance, it was a strong debut. And now, speaking of Carlos David, just looking at maidens the second time out the last 3 years, 10 for 30, 33%, 50% in the money with an actually surprising ROI, $3.83. I thought that was a little high, just knowing that Carlos David typically goes off favorite. And it was a strong debut as part of that pace scenario and just ended up second best last time out. And to me, he's probably the one that stands out, and I think we might agree. The only other horse that I think maybe could beat him, but finished behind him in the past, is maybe the 3 Fishing for Fun.
I can't believe you didn't put Fishing for Fun on top of your ticket. You picked this horse every single time. And this was stepping back up the special weight competition. Lateral move, finished third behind Octane in his career debut. Then come back to run that good second last time out. You probably bet him. That's why you're mad at him.
No, because I just think Octane's better. Trust me, I really wanted to put this horse on top. Everyone knows I talk about the connections and the pedigree and like the siblings as well. But you mentioned he did actually have a good race last time out. I know he was in that maiden special weight company for state bred, then went in for the $50,000. Not a huge drop. It's a little bit of a drop, but he was at least able to close. Where last in his debut, he might have gotten a little tired.
I had to check twice to see the number 6 Cajun Level, who was the trainer. This one, a gelded son of Winter Early Sire Cajun Breeze, debuting for KO for Kathleen O'Connell with a quartet of just so-so workouts, but usually Cajun Breeze you don't see here, you see with Mike Yates.
You do, and she only gets a couple of them. 18% though with 2-year-olds, first-time starters 14%. You mentioned the works. They're not speedy, but I feel like that's a common theme we see with KO. I don't think she really likes these really flashy workouts unless that's just how the horse works out. I think they're more maintenance and just figuring out the horse. So the times really aren't a big deal for me. And then you see who's in the saddle. I didn't realize this. Luca Panici and her, 24% here at Gulfstream Park.
Well, I didn't realize that myself. And, Cajun Breeze, we always said, it's top sprinter, a lot of 2-year-olds. I think he won a two-mile turf race here. Desire, I forget the name of the horse. So Cajun Breeze, we've been watching that horse over the last 3-4 years. Let's flip, go right to race number 9, about 7.5 on the turf. Claim is 3 or 4 and up, non-winners of 2 in life. Scratch the 6. Note that the 11. Note that the number 10, who's got a big shot, is going to get in and run this afternoon. I went to the inside horse in here with Halcyon Dyson. Did you use this on your late pick 4 ticket? You did?
I did, but he's not my top pick. I actually used the number 4, Young Flint, on top. So those are my 2 here in race 9. Race 10, I just go too deep. I was a little torn in here between the number 5, Cozy Dreams, and the 6, Special Counsel, and I think we disagree in this spot. I think we have them flip-flopped, so I'll save that for a minute from now. Race 11, I'll use 3 runners in here. I use the number 4, Breakthrough, my top pick as well. I use the 6, Coffee Bean, and the 8 is maybe my sleeper in there, Romario. And then in the nightcap, I thought it was wide open. I used the number 2, Catherine's Joy, who I think will go off as the post-time favorite, but I thought she was a little vulnerable. So I also used the 8 and the 10, but my top pick in there is going to be the number 4, Menelik, who's out of the Happy Altar Barn.
Yeah, I think you did the right thing by going deep in race number 12 there. And Coffee Bean is the one that's going to get me today. I think that's the horse that I didn't use on my Rainbow Six ticket that I was afraid of. I didn't want to go that deep in that race. We'll see how it is. Now, getting back to this race, you said we got our horses flip-flop. I'll start with Halcyon Digest, who's dropping into this condition claimer after vying for lead and tiring. Was the favorite that day, but that was against 35 starter optional claimers. David Forks, Hemisiel Jaramillo handling the class relief today. Just on the drop, I thought this was a logical contender.
He's a big player based on the drop. I think the thing that has maybe shied me away a little bit, I still use him, and I just use him for second in terms of my selections here. He's been at the 5 furlong distance, so he was going a mile. It seemed like his early foot was kind of to his disadvantage. He would tire, so they cut him back, but they also sometimes changed the strategy. He tried to close from off the pace. He was a little bit more forwardly placed, so I'm not sure. They're going to stretch him back out, which may be the best thing for him just because his best thing is his early foot. So wasn't sure.
Yeah, and young Flint, who you do have on top, defeated this level of competition a couple of starts back. He drops, made that middle move last time out. It might have been a little too tough for him, for Ralph Nix and Edgar Zayas.
Yeah, I think the starter allowance competition was just too tough last time out. You mentioned the race 2 starts back. He beat Long Beach Kid, who's also in this spot today. I think he's the number 6 in here. And I like the trip that he got. He closed from off the pace. He actually was also nice because it was his first time facing winners, and he was a repeat winner. So I like seeing Edgar Zayas stay in the saddle. Surprisingly, him and Ralph Nix, maybe not the best here at Gulfstream Park, but gives me some confidence in what he thinks of this horse.
Yeah, one of the angles I like, if you look at this horse, he's the only 2-time turf winner in the field, so he's done something that no one else has done. And boy, Nisimo is turning back slightly to 7.5, returned from the layoff, ran okay, but I saw a stat that I just throwing out there once. Avila, he's got a $3.22 ROI with second start back from this type of layoff. Maybe you throw that horse somewhere on ticket like you did.
Yeah, and it was his first time on the turf. That was the big thing. They tried to get him on the turf early in his career. It didn't pan out that way, so he broke his maiden on the dirt. But pretty nice performance off the layoff, first-time turf.
Let's go to race number 10, 6 1/2 furlong sprint. These are claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. This is a dated claimer, non-winners of a race since January 17th. Happens to be my birthday, but we'll talk about that in about 6 months, I hope. Race number 10, I went with the number 5, Cozy Dreams. You went with the number 6, Special Counsel. We flip-flopped them. Tell me why.
I'll just start with Cozy Dreams. I think this horse, 8 to 5 on the morning line makes a lot of sense. But for me, it's been the last 2 races. I know they've been against $6,250 claimers, only 2 starts this year. But it's tired in both of them. Just seems like the other horses are hitting their best stride late where this one hasn't. So maybe, again, I'm a woman scorned in here. So I go to the number 6, Special Counsel, who is going to be part of that early pace scenario. Faced this level 2 starts back in May, going 7 furlongs. And Witch Hunter was just way better than the rest of the field. So this one has maybe some stamina issues as well, but I like the equipment change to blinkers on. I know the stats don't support that, but I think this horse may need some more focus in the stretch.
We flip-flopped in Cozy Dreams. It was the favorite, as you said, and been beaten favorite in a couple of races, which you can't like that much. Number 4, Grace's Drama, is cutting back to a sprint distance and dropping into this race. Certainly an easier spot to hit the board and back-to-back. Open claimers. I like that angle. Gary Jackson, Jonathan Gonzalez in the saddle today. Jonathan won the last race yesterday. So I just thought I like horses that go from open company down to dated claiming.
The big thing, she's a 10-time winner here over the main track from 31 starts. I mean, she's hit the board way more than that, I believe 23 times. But surprisingly enough, never tried the distance.
Well, let's go to race number 11, 5 furlongs on the turf allowance, optional claim at 3 and up, but the optional tag at $25,000. And we both went with the number 4 horse today. Breakthrough was dropping to this level. Let's go back and show you this horse's race. We're going to pick it up from the 8th hole. Now, this horse was challenged early, but here's where he just turned it on in the stretch and was very impressive drawing off. I just thought it was a really good performance. And early on you said you didn't really know if this horse was going to, be able to handle it. But you can see a horse come flying in the stretch. But Breakthrough, just a good performance last time out for Juancy Avila. Jose Morelos going for 2 in a row. Speed play for me.
Speed play for sure, and you look at those 2 wins, they've both been front-end fashion, gate to wire. I think 2 starts back, they just went a tad quicker, almost a second quicker to the half, 43-1, and this one was chasing, so I don't think that was maybe the ideal setup, but still, those last 3 races all on the turf sprinting, very strong.
Well, the number 9, Cantharos Image, has been knocking on the door in consecutive races at this level since rallying to defeat 25 condition claimers during March at Steve Caceres. He's really good with his turf sprinters. He's over 20% with a big sampling. Emercial Jaramillo atop. Boy, this is a consistent 8-year-old. He just always runs his race. He doesn't get his picture taken a lot, but he always seems to be there on the wire, and you did not use him at all today.
Scares me. I don't know. I think once I got past the 4 and the 6, I didn't really know what to do from there. I just thought it was wide open. And the big thing with him, really loves it here at Gulfstream Park. And I mentioned our top pick in here, the number 4 Breakthrough, has early foot. So do several other runners in here. So you have to think maybe it does set up for him, and that's his best run. He can close from far back. He did that 3 starts back when he won here this year. But last time out, he was just off the pace. So I think he could get a really great trip.
Well, the way I've been going the last couple of days, I think everybody should run and bet number 6, Coffee Bean. Every horse they seem to leave out seems to win, so maybe that'll be the case today. This one, I just kept going back and forth. Do I use this horse? And I decided maybe I'm going to leave it off today. Edgard Zayas, I mean, good connection, should run well.
Should run well. I didn't know if the win was necessarily, to me, the 4 stood out more is how I'll say it. I didn't know how to elegantly put that. But in this the case of the Coffee Bean has a really speedy drill on July 10th. And you look at those last 2 races, one against 35,000 going 7.5, and more recently at the mile distance. This one has early foot, can be pretty speedy. 2 races back, I thought the half went pretty quick. And last time out seemed to tire in there. But when I see the horses that he's faced some tougher horses here as well. So he was one that I just think things are going well for him. And his last 2, they've been strong.
Well, the horse that's going to get some class relief, I thought would sit a trip, and we both have a third, was Romero. He rallied to finish second, actually in front of Cantharo's Image at this level a couple of starts back. Just failed to fire in that Bob Humphrey, which was just a weird race that day. It wasn't that it was weird. I mean, the 3-year-old, I forget the name right now, but just so impressive winning that race last time out. So, Romero, I think it's a good spot. I think there's going to be speed, and I think one of these type of horses are going to come off the pace and maybe win it.
Yeah, the horse you're talking about is Warrior's Pride.
Yeah,
he just went to the front, and it was kind of done from there. When you look at Romario, he was almost dead last early on. He had about 2 horses beaten. He tried to rally, and he did. He was 6, beaten by less than 3 lengths. But you mentioned, if you like kind of Cantharo's Image, which you do, I tossed out of here. But Romario is very similar. You mentioned where they finished 2 starts back. I mean, this one's going to be closing from off the pace as well.
Let's go to our final race of the afternoon. 7 furlongs, Maiden claim is 3 and up, $12,500. And I think you did the right thing by going deep in here. And we're not in agreement in this one, at least with our top pick. Well, I don't have the 4, you don't have the 1. So we're going to have to make a side wager here to see who does better in last. I'll tell you why I used last minute deal. I think this one should have the screws tightened today. Returned from a layoff, finished 4th at this level and distance. He broke from post 9. Now he's going to go to the rail today. Romero Mirage at the controls. I just went off that last performance and thought maybe he can run well in this spot.
And he's exiting the same race as the morning line favorite, the number 2, Catherine's Joy, finished 2nd in there. But this is a good performance. Was further back than we've seen in some of his starts. And you've just mentioned the connections you have to watch. But second off the layoff, they're 17%.
Well, the number 4 horse in here is who you have on top. I have to look because I didn't use him, and that's Moon. What is it? Menelik?
Menelik's out of the Happy Altar barn. He raced twice in 2019 and just had that 1 start in the winter of 2020. Then we didn't see him until May of 2021, and I thought it was a good performance. It was sprinting on the turf against $16,000 maiden claimers. Had a nice buyer speed figure. Made a little bit of a move late to finish 3rd in that deep field, beaten by 2 lengths. Who won it? Loyal Louis. So maybe we have to factor that in to see how that one runs today. Also, I believe on the dirt as well. And then last time out, I don't know what you do with the race. 25,000 on the turf. Horrible race. He was kind of eased in the end. But my only concern with him when you start to look at his races, 3 starts back, he was against tougher competition. I know it was a while back. He bolted in the turn, and more recently, he bore out in the stretch. So he doesn't seem to have maybe the screws tightened. But I think if he can run the way he did 2 starts ago, he's my winner.
We both have number 8, Mr. Roger, on our ticket. And this one has been the beaten favorite in 4 consecutive races. But I think he might have found the spot where he can cure that chalk-bearing status today for one. See Avilar, Embassy El Jaramillo, rationing the gelding speed. He's got that speed. He just doesn't seem to get the job done.
And they give him a little bit of time off, about a month, so a little bit longer in between his starts. He does have a nice bullet drill coming into this. Jaramillo, you said it's going to stay aboard, which gave me some confidence, but I just don't know what you do with a horse that has been favored in those last several starts and hasn't shown up. So.
And I had Catherine's Joy a little further down. You have the horse in 2nd. Pray tell why.
I feel like it's 2nd place heartbreak. Obviously, last time out didn't pan out, and that's the concern. Was favored in there, right? And ended up only beating 2 runners, beaten by almost 17 lengths. But the prior start at this level, at the 7 furlong distance, just missed by a neck. So I think that just makes this horse a major contender.
Well, that's how we see the 12-race card this afternoon, and we're going to jump right into our lightning round this afternoon. And this is the time of year where you got to watch all the 2-year-olds here. And I thought a horse that won the opening race yesterday for Joe Asino was pretty good. We're going to go back and revisit the stretch run of Stone Beauty, and he's a Florida vet, and he's nominated for of course, all the Florida stakes that we have here. I just thought it was a really good performance. He was like 7-2, 7-2. All of a sudden, boom. He was 2-1. The money came in late, and he ran very well. Just a horse that you sort of have to mark down, and that is Stone Beauty from the Joe Orsino barn.
Yeah, and necessarily not with first-time starters or 2-year-olds. You don't see a lot from the barn, but I think that's their second win so far this year, and the other firster ran really well as well. So now just thinking about Florida Sire Stakes, I'm sure the wheels are turning for them.
Exactly, and we also have a great sign-up bonus here for Express Bet, First Bet and Express Bet, $1,000 sign-up bonus. It's just, the official app of Gulfstream Park, and boy, this is a good promo, and I like the way they put it in. They said, we can't believe the bosses let us do this when they put it on Twitter. So you just go there's the promo code GSP 1000. You go on in, you get $1,000 sign up bonus.
Man, if it was 100,000, I'd be signing up right away. I know it's a great bonus. I know they've been doing a lot of different things for the customers. We talked about on the Friday Frenzy, Abel Cedillo, if he got some wins, they were just giving out, I believe, $100 randomly to some Express Bet customers. So I'm sure they were happy yesterday at the opening day at Del Mar because he did have a couple wins.
He had a couple of wins. So if you're an Express Bet, patron, and you can get that $100. So I know I'm not available for that. They're going to talk me into doing that. We've mentioned Mark Cassie, how he's doing fantastic with his 2-year-olds. And, he got his second winner today with a 2-year-old Florida bred. So we'll go back and revisit that race. That was Fulminate, who you had right on top of your ticket.
I did, and this one just kind of ran off the screen for a bit. Looked very professional in that debut. I know this is one that they were wanting to get on the turf for some time, and we had that bout of South Florida weather for a while, so we were off the turf, so they finally got this one on. And I really, both the winners yesterday, they were strong, but I really liked Fulminate's performance.
Yeah, and as we mentioned at the top of the show, that gave Mark Cassie his 6th 2-year-old winner at the meeting.
That's crazy. That's a lot. He's got a lot of babies down here and a lot of first-time starters, that's for sure.
Well, that is how we see the card, the lightning round. We're going to turn it over to track announcer Mr. Peter Aiello to give you all the scratches you need to have a winning day here.
Hopefully we get some winners.